Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. You know we love getting your suggestions for topics, and this one comes straight from you.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good one.
Buckle up because we're headed to Wisconsin for a look at, well, let's just say a not-so-smooth Trump rally in Milwaukee.
Oh yeah, this one had it all. Microphone's gone wild. Trump, well, being Trump, you know.
Exactly, and it all went down just days before the election in a state that could very well decide the whole shebang.
I mean, talk about a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, always a nail biter.
So before we get into the nitty-gritty, can you remind everyone why Wisconsin is such a hot spot this election?
Right, so you've got to remember 2016, Trump snagged Wisconsin by the tiniest margin. Then 2020 rolls around, he loses it, again by a hair.
So every vote really does count.
Absolutely, every single one. And right now, the polls are showing Trump and Harris in a dead heat.
Wow, that's tight. Okay, so picture this. It's Trump's final rally in Wisconsin before the election, and it's at the Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee.
Yeah, the same venue where the GOP convention was held. Talk about symbol. You can practically feel the energy crackling in the air. Huge crowd. Everyone's pumped.
Except the microphone seems to have other plans.
Oh, yeah, it was one thing after another. Feedback, cutting out, you name it.
And Trump, well, he doesn't exactly handle it with grace. I mean, he even jokes about not paying the contractor, which, given his history,
Yeah, let's just say that didn't go unnoticed.
Then he drops this line about wanting to knock the hell out of people backstage.
And that's where it gets really interesting, right? Because you have to wonder how much of this is genuine frustration and how much is, playing to the crowd.
Like, is it a calculated move?
Yeah.
Because this is Trump. He's known for that kind of over-the-top rhetoric.
It's hard to say for sure, but it's certainly something worth considering. And, it kind of feeds into this broader crawl of authenticity in politics, right? Like, how much of what we see on the campaign trail is real and how much is performance?
It's a blurry line, that's for sure. But one thing that's clear is that this kind of language can have a real impact.
Yeah, I mean, some people might hear those comments and think, that's Trump, telling it like it is, and it might actually resonate with them.
Right, they might see it as him being a straight shooter.
Exactly. But then you have others who are going to be really put off by that kind of aggressive language, especially with the political climate being what it is.
So it's a gamble, right? It might fire up his base, but could also alienate undecided voters.
Absolutely. And in a state like Wisconsin, where every vote counts, alienating even a small number of voters could be the difference between winning and losing.
Okay, so we've got the microphone mayhem, the colorful language. But what about the actual substance of his speech? What was Trump pushing at this rally?
Yeah, so despite all the technical difficulties and outbursts, his core message was pretty much in line with what he's been saying throughout the campaign.
The usual hits?
Right. So more attacks on Michelle Obama, Kamala Harris, that kind of thing. He doubled down on his immigration stance, very hard line.
And of course, you can't forget about
the greatest hits, you could say. Lots of talk about his past accomplishments, how he made America great again, that whole deal.
Okay, so classic Trump playbook. But how do you think this whole microphone debacle might play with undecided voters in Wisconsin?
Oh, man, that's the million-dollar question, right? It's hard to say for sure. It really depends on the voter.
I mean, some people might see it as relatable. He's not some perfect robot. He gets frustrated just like everyone else.
Exactly. Like, he's just a regular guy. Stuff happens.
Right.
But then others might see it as, unprofessional. This is the president. He should be able to handle a little technical difficulty without threatening to punch someone.
And we know Wisconsin voters, they're not shy about swinging back and forth.
Yeah, it's a real toss-up. Honestly, this incident might just solidify people's existing opinions rather than swaying anyone dramatically.
Like, if you already like Trump, you're probably not going to be fazed by this. And if you already dislike him, this probably just confirms your suspicions.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like he's playing this high-stakes game of political chess, and every little move is being scrutinized, every word dissected.
And the stakes are incredibly high, right?
Okay.
This is just days before the election. He's bouncing between swing states, trying to rally support. It's a pressure cooker.
And remember, this is a state that he lost in 2020, but still claims with won twice.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. I mean, that's just factually incorrect, but it speaks volumes about how contentious the political landscape is in Wisconsin.
It's wild to think that something as seemingly minor as a microphone malfunction could potentially have a ripple effect on such a tight race.
But that's the reality of swing states. Every vote, every incident, everything's magnified. It's all down to the wire.
So after taking this deep dive with us, we have a question for you. Do these microphone issues, the outbursts, Do they really matter in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, like will they actually sway those undecided voters in Wisconsin?
It's something to think about as we head into these final days before the election. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
And don't forget, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, get out there and vote. Your vote could be the one that tips the scale.
We'll see you next time.